It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 546. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Hello.
Kodra.
Hi.
Tam.
One of my favorite partners. Hello.
And Thalen.
Hey there.
So, from the topic of the list, I am guessing this was Geek Girl Con weekend again.
It's Geek Girl Con weekend again. The local Seattle convention celebrating lots of things geek and girl. It was really cool. We went today, my whole family unit. It's like the one con I get to go to with the whole family. And we all dressed up in Pokemon Kigus. So I was a Dragonite. My kids were a Charmander and a Pikachu. And my partner was a Snorlax. It was rad. A big thing that is always fun for the kids is the science area, which always has the bug ladies. So we got to have a lot of fun with seeing a tarantula and see they pulled silk from the tarantula, which was very cool. And a whole bunch of other got to hold a bunch of caterpillars. The science area is really neat, and if you're in the area and have kids, I really recommend it almost entirely for that. It's definitely a lot of fun.
How big is the con these days?
So, PAX takes up, I think, 3 buildings in the area, PAX West. This takes up one of the 3 buildings.
Okay, still decent sized.
Yeah, it's not huge, but it's not insignificant. There's always a good vendor hall. We got to see the local Saber Guild put on a saber show, so that was a lot of fun for them. We might go back tomorrow because there is junior Saber Guild training, which my kids have expressed some interest in.
Local Saber Guild stuff is really fun.
It is a lot of fun. They had a very cute. One of the storylines was Princess Bride inspired, which was very funny to me. Trying to think other interesting things going on there. We had there was the indie showcase, indie video game showcase. And that was sweet because there's a whole bunch of cool indie games. It also introduced me to Tower Bolt, which is a game that is apparently almost out, and has a demo on Steam. And if you like a game in which you are doing the platforming, a platformer that has an in-game speedrun time or type of game, this is probably for you. The big pitch here is
Tower what?
Tower Bolt. And the pitch I could give is, whereas most speedrun games are all about building up horizontal momentum, this is very much a game about climbing up a thing, and there is a lot of cool ways that you basically as you are doing wall jumps and mid-airs and all of that, as long as you are not touching the ground, you are building up for better and better and higher jumps. And so as you are going through this and trying to make sure you're not touching the floor, you get into this insane super jump mode towards the end of the level, and it's just really satisfying to go through these. There was a competition for the day. I managed to take second place for the speed run of the demo. It was really there was people who are side by side racing it there. It's a really cool game. There's also there's a bunch of other mainstay games. A game that I didn't realize had already come out is There is a cat fighter game. It's apparently like available on Steam and Switch. I will try and find the actual name, but like it's sort of a like 3D brawler, and it was super fun to see because I had seen it at a couple of other conventions, and now it is live and available for you to download. I'll have to try and find this out to put forwards at some point, but like it plays up to 4 players on a console, and we were playing with me and my 2 kids, and they were having a good time with it. But yeah, like there's the other cool thing I saw was Coyote and Crow, who do a TTRPG, have a board game out that I am hoping to pick up. Apparently, the concept is based off of like a Native American potlatch, which is like sort of this idea of like generosity and giving to your neighbors and like making sure like we're all in it together. So it's called a semi-cooperative game. The idea is that if anybody doesn't survive the winter, then everyone loses. But if everyone survives the winter, whoever was the most generous, whoever gave more resources to other players is the winner. And there's a couple of other mechanics. I haven't played it myself yet, but it's definitely like I always worry about cooperative because it's like, well, how do you make it so that the competitive and the cooperative elements don't break? But like if the points are giving other players resources, that's pretty cool.
Does that create a weird friction in that you don't want to accept the resources?
So, and I asked about that, and apparently, it really I need to understand. I think if you are of higher status, it is considered rude to reject a gift from somebody below you, and so you have to accept them. Like there's mechanics that like encourage like this as a catch-up mechanic. As I said, I didn't get to play it, but apparently they have thought about this because that was my initial like reaction too. But yeah, like there's also a whole bunch of vendors, and it was a really fun time. I am looking forward to going back tomorrow. There's going to be there's like a kids cosplay celebration, so we might see if the kids want to do something with that. But all in all, especially if you're in the Seattle area and you are interested in this type of stuff, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's a really good con. And in general, if you're interested in platformers, definitely like there's a free demo of Tower Bolt you can download. I recommend you check it out. I think it's pretty sweet. I played through it like 3 times at the convention trying to get a better time.
Nice.
Ash, why is initiative overrated?
I got to play more Daggerheart.
Okay.
So I've mentioned Daggerheart a little bit 2 weeks ago, and I've since gotten to play a bit more of it. And it is the most interesting combat system I have seen in an RPG.
Okay.
It looked so neat when I was reading it.
It does de-emphasize movement, except for like movement as a very far thing. Movement is just a thing you can do during your turn up to like what they call close range if you're playing on a grid that's like 6 spaces. So movement is de-emphasized a bit, but initiative is just gone. It's not a thing.
Uh-huh.
Players, basically there is always a character in the spotlight, and you as players can decide who that's going to be at any given moment. And when you do something that requires a roll, the difficulty is usually determined by the enemies you're fighting. And if you fail the roll or roll with fear, which is their sort of like bonus drawback mechanic, then the GM gets the spotlight. So the GM's actions are always sort of reactionary to something that just happened by the players. The GM also has their own resource, which is called fear, which can be used to take their turn even if players don't roll with fear. But it creates this interesting flow that's just different than what I'm used to. It's more like everything you do in an RPG outside of battle kind of works like that. At least it felt like it did.
Yeah, it seemed really neat. It's definitely, you can definitely see how it's designed for a certain kind of player.
Except, yes and no, because I'm kind of not that player in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But I still find it fascinating.
So if you... And rolling with fear is like a 50-50 chance, right?
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah. What's the other way that the GM gets the spotlight?
If a player fails a roll.
Ah, okay. So that's a interesting initiative. Like, it did seem like much more theater kid energy, like when I was reading it. So I'm curious, like, how did it actually play for you? Did it feel like, was it more or less like who is wants to do something, or like who has a good idea to do something?
Yeah, like, hey, I have this vine spell that can tie up some of the enemies in the back so they don't come any closer. Let me maybe go first? Or, hey, I want to rush this dangerous dude in the front. I'd like to go next. It's not that different than like at the start of a round in Lancer when players are deciding who wants to go right now. Except you kind of get to do it more often.
Yeah.
You set the order each round?
There is no order.
There's no order, there is no round.
Right.
Okay.
It's just, players, you have a turn. Who wants to do something with that turn? And then the players get another turn if they roll with hope, which is one. You roll 2d12, right?
You roll 2d12s. One represents hope, one represents fear. Whichever one is higher is what the roll has.
What if they're even?
It's crit.
It's a
It's
crit.
it's 2d12.
2d12,
Yes.
yes.
Interesting. So slightly better than a d20. Because I know the enemies mostly roll d20s.
The enemies all roll d20s, yeah.
Yeah, it's a neat system. It's definitely been on my run or play list.
Yeah, I'm. What is like an action look like?
Casting a spell, attacking, moving a distance larger than close range, deciding that you want to pick up a plate from the table and hurl it at an enemy. Almost everything is an action, although some of them don't require rolls. There are a variety of bard abilities that are bard used that don't require any roll at all, so it can't pass the play back to the GM.
Oh,
Unless the
interesting.
GM takes their turn.
That's interesting. Nothing can interrupt a bard. They're very verbose.
Well, the GM can interrupt a bard.
Well, how can a GM interrupt a bard?
The GM can always spend a fear to just take their turn.
Oh. And how much fear does a GM have?
Depends on how the players roll leading into combat.
Aha. So whenever they roll fear in like non-combat stuff, the GM gets a fear.
Right. And combat.
And in
It's
combat.
just sort of the GM's big pool of resources.
Well, so if you roll fear in combat, does that mean the GM both gets a turn and
And
gets
a fear, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was like, man, it seems like players will probably have a lot of turns, but I actually think GMs are going to get a lot of turns that way.
Yep.
Is there a lot of like off-turn reacting that can happen, or no?
Not a ton. There's a little bit.
I have to say, I have never really gotten into Critical Role, but I kind of do want to watch this season because it's in this system, if I understand correctly.
The current season of Critical Role is still in D&D.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So we're a little over a week into Keepers of the Flame and Path of Exile, and I saw the other night, Kodra, that you were in your 70s. How is Rolling Magma Mines going? I am curious.
Okay, so Rolling Magma Mines, actually, you don't even need any ascendancy for it to work. It's just kind of odd. Then you get your first ascendancy, and it's like, hey, do you like having a screen full of rolling magma? If yes, then you'll probably like this build. It trashes things. Like, I'm very squishy. I feel squishier than I feel squishier than I ever did on Hexblast, mostly because I'm not freezing everything as part of my my shtick, which like Hexblast had a whole bunch of like kind of behind the scenes. This is actually making you way tankier because most small enemies are just constantly frozen. But I don't know, like I feel like I might be dealing even more damage than I did with Hexblast. And a couple of other benefits, like Hexblast requires a target to fire. So one of the like problems you could run into is you could throw out all of your mines, and then like if your mines didn't have an enemy to detonate onto, they would just sit there until they timed out. Whereas with this, like I can always just like shoot off my mines and have a whole bunch of rolling magma go everywhere. The big trick, the first ascendancy you get is the one that says projectiles fire at random and sometimes return to you, which is important because rolling magma would normally bounce every time, and the projectile would always go in a straight line, which means it probably hits an enemy once. This is definitely a game that is like based on the fact that we can make all of this random. Some of them are going to hit more than once, and chaos theory, this build does insane amounts of damage.
Well, and each time it bounces, there's an AoE of damage that's dealt. So even if you don't bounce in exactly the same spot, you're probably going to overlap the area of the bounces.
Yeah. And then like the next thing that I haven't really started into is you try and slow down your projectile speed to tighten the clustering. But like suffice to say, damage is not the problem this build is having. This build does pretty great damage and pretty great damage projection because I can throw my mines far away and then I can set them off and then they can explode far away and they can roll, and like portions of the screen off screen are now covered in rolling magma. I'm currently in Act 10 because I'm a little bit slow and I'm mostly having a good time. I'm really enjoying Breach with it. I actually think it's funny because I was like I've only seen 2 modes of Breach so far. I've seen the pseudo blight one where you have to defend Aleph, which is fun because I love like being the tower defense unit in any game. Like that is fun, especially with mines. The other mode, which I did not realize, like you can tell me I just never knew how to do blight before, but like one of the things you can do now is you can actually like kill enough things in the blight to stabilize it.
Yeah, that is not a thing that we could do before. That instantly makes this version way better than previous blight.
So much better, so much more interesting, because then it's like, oh, actually I have an objective, like I can either succeed or fail this. It's like, I see this hand, I see this map, let me look and try and figure out a path I want to be taking,
right,
such that I can try. Like there's a lot of thought and tactics that go into blight now, as opposed to it being, I guess some enemies are gonna rush me and I don't really know what's going to happen, and hopefully I see hands. Yeah. Maybe a boss will spawn, and that could be neat. But like now it's like, oh no, I want to like be going around trying to clear out enough so I can stabilize this and get a bunch of big like breach rares to pop up in the middle. And then those breach rares are nasty.
And sometimes they're replaced by a breach boss.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
see?
Like if the 4 rares don't spawn, a named boss spawn.
That's awesome.
And I like it's probably about a 1 in 4-ish, 1 in 5 difference between like I get some rares versus I get a boss. But yeah, like it's really freaking cool. Like I do not love the tower defense mode that much. Like I don't mind the version that you clear to her. There's a later version called the Fortress where you have to make it 24 rounds with no obstacles to block the incoming mobs, and sure hope you can wipe multiple waves at the same time because they're going to start coming from different directions at the same time.
I mean, as I said, I'm doing a lot of damage projection. My biggest issue is going to be like survival, but like big waves of mobs are not usually my problem.
Yeah.
Small, hard targets that hit hard is my problem.
What even is the defensive suggestions for this build?
Okay, so I am a saboteur, which means I have a bunch of good stuff off the bat. Like I have that one node, which is the offense node that I have to pick up first to make the build work. But then I get Born in the Shadows, and I get Engineering Specialist, which is like everyone is blinded and 10% like up to 10% health regen per second. So that's the start, and then you go in like your auras are sand. You stay in sand stance,
Mhm.
and Arctic armor.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Sand stance is really powerful.
Apparently, the pitch is it's especially powerful if you have Born in the Shadows. I don't fully understand why.
Like, I think it's just flat physical damage avoidance.
Oh, is it more dodge?
Hey, no, take less damage
Yeah.
from enemy if they're in the proximity. So it's literally sand stance is just literally a less damage.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna be doing spell suppression, and like trying to build ES evasion.
And I think they made it harder to go full spell suppression capped this time, and also nerf spell suppression. So
They
that
make
no
it harder
longer-
almost every time.
so that it's no longer 50% damage reduction. It is now 40% damage reduction.
Awesome.
But
I mean,
they do feel like, so I'm now at the point where I am 115 and 115 on maps, have my 4 void stones, and am just plugging away on objectives and trying to make some currency. But the transition through tier 1 to tier 16 felt way smoother than it has previously, to where like tier 16s didn't feel like they were that big of a jump up.
the other thing that I know they recommend is, of course, I need to be wearing either a lightning coil or cloak of flames. Obviously.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, they're just too good not to try and wear them. I would guess you would go lightning coil.
I mean, they probably recommend Cloak of Flames just because it's easier to not have to deal with negative lightning resist.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, they also eventually want me to switch to a crit build with a sandstorm. So,
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with this. At which point, I'm pretty sure my damage becomes insane.
Sanctum books are real cheap and easy to get now.
Yeah, but I have never actually done a sandstorm run. I'm gonna just try and buy a sandstorm and a 6-link cloak of flame. So I'm sure those will be expensive.
Actually, like, that's the thing. That's the weird thing about this league, is I have been pretty broke the entire time, yet I have probably better gear at this state than I have ever had at any other state. And like, some of it was I YOLO crafted stuff through the Genesis tree, the tree. And that got me started. Like, that was easy to get good enough items to get me started. But also, like, everything is much cheaper than it usually is because we've essentially democratized trade. And now everyone is trading, because why the hell not?
Yay!
So that's caused this massive race to the bottom on pricing, which means, like, I don't have a lot of raw currency, but I also don't need a lot of raw currency. I've only gotten 2 divines to drop, but like, I was able to acquire a lot with that divine. So I don't know, like, it's been interesting playing in deflation league.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Like we have removed the friction from trade.
The thing right now though is landmine traders. So I'm only buying a single item at a time, but like, there's people that will go buy maps and like clear out an entire maps tab, and someone will price one of those maps at 10 divines as a landmine.
Ooh.
For someone who's just buying out the tab. So like, this is a thing that's happened to a lot of streamers. There was a streamer the other day that accidentally bought a 40 div map.
Oof.
But
That feels messed up.
yeah, like, I feel like there's a really easy thing that they could do to resolve this, where on the item in the trade tab, like, put a little icon of a chaos orb or an icon of a div. like whatever the currency it's in would be very simple. But also, like, when you go to the trade thing is remarkably fast. Like, it teleports you to their hideout. opens the trade tab, highlights the item that you were searching for. And if you buy that item, like there is nothing that can go wrong. If you start trying to buy out everything in their tab, that's when things get shifty. Because it's not like it's not advertised at that correct amount.
It's just you're not paying attention.
You're just not paying attention. I think I'm basically at the point where I'm trying to craft the perfect graphs with the right item or the right bonuses on them, which means I'm just crafting a stupid amount of graphs and there's nothing I can do with them really. And I don't like, I need to see if you can like 3-to-1 or 5-to-1
something. Yeah. I was gonna ask, so how do I access the like auction house? Is that a later thing?
Once you get to Act 6, I think, and can go to King's March and can have Faustus in your hideout. You talk to Faustus to get into that information, but I believe you have to either purchase a trade tab or transfer an existing tab that you have into a trade tab. But from that point on,
I have a trade tab.
Yeah, from that point on, it works just like currency exchange, where you talk to Faustus to list items, and then he'll have the icon over his head when something's ready for pickup. I've done way more crafting this time than normal, where since I didn't have much currency, I instead bought a base and then harvest spammed it until I got the right thing that I wanted in a lot of cases. That's been interesting.
Oh, you like bought a item base. Got it.
Yeah. So like Archdemon Helm is this heist base that basically is +2 to skills, -2 to supports, but it ends up becoming essential. So if you can do that as either an Elder Helm or God, I don't know what they call them. The thing where it's both Elder and Shaper at the same time. I don't know what those things are called, but basically there's this stupid thing you can do where you take a Shaper base and an Elder base and merge them together. So like that's the most advanced version that I have not done, but I essentially, bought a Archdemon Crown that was like a level 83 base and threw an Elder Exalt at it to give it the Elder influence, and then spammed it until I got +20 socketed burning damage and +20 socketed concentrated damage, and put AoE gem to kind of finish it out. But that basically gave me a 6-link helm. And like previously I used to do this with like Elder helms, but the new hotness is Archdemon Crowns. And I had actually farmed up a couple of Archdemon Crowns. They were just too low eye level, so I had to go buy one that was the correct item level, since that is something that you have to find off of Ritual. Now, new heist is amazing. I don't know if you've done any heist.
I have not.
Like, your rogues aren't all unlocked. You still have to run missions in order to unlock them, but all your base rogues are just max leveled. And when you unlock new rogues, they're just max leveled. So you can just do heists like without worrying about anything. You can run all the contracts that you find.
No having to get lower level contracts so you can run with the right rogues.
Yep. That was always a pain, because by the time contracts really start dropping, they're dropping with like level 5 contract requirements.
Right.
And no, that's all gone. They're just all level 5 all the time.
Well, not all the rogues go up to level 5 and everything
right.
they do.
They're whatever their maximum by default is. And you're right. Not all of them get level 5, but still.
Are all of the rogue specialties still the same?
Yeah, it's all the same. I mean,
so you still want to go with what's her name as much as possible?
Gianna?
Yeah.
If you want to do those, missions.
You want to do blueprints, then yes, Gianna. Run with Gianna.
Yeah, because you want the free reveals. You can do the grand heists. They've also added rooms that like just reward stupid amounts of gold. So they took out the breach rooms and they put those in instead this time. And like, that's useful. I mean, because if you're only running heist, then you're probably kind of gold starved.
Did they remove all things breach from the Atlas tree?
Yeah, everything breaches off the Atlas tree. Everything that did previously reward breach or could reward breach no longer does right now. So like you can't get breach items through Blight or any of the other Legion or any of the other things that extraneously could reward breach as options.
This is a thing they've done a few times.
I will be curious to see how the like standard breach plays out after this.
I mean, I kind of hope that de facto breach is just the stabilized breach, and then you can spec into running tower defense breach.
Mostly, I wonder if there's still going to be a tree.
I don't know. Like, it is really good at crafting specific things, but it's also kind of like super impossible to craft hyper specific things. But it does really have a good niche of filling that I need some gear, I need it to have life, and I need it to have fire resistance, or I need it to have this, or I need it to have that.
Yeah, my big thing with this with it is it seems really good at crafting pretty good gear.
Right, yeah.
It does not seem, and like this is where I think their crafting needs to be focused on, because their crafting is pretty good at allowing somebody to pour ridiculous amounts of resources following extremely esoteric recipes to get basically perfect gear. But there's no easy crafting.
Well, and I don't know, like the thing that I've long felt about their crafting system is item level of a base should like prune the lower tiers just by being the fact that you're crafting on a higher level base, to where maybe you have like 4 tiers possible, but like if you're crafting on a level 100 base, it would push all but maybe like the top 2 tiers out, which would give you a reason to ever craft on a level 100 base. Because like there's things in the game that reward level 100 bases, but for the most part, there's nothing that ever needs anything higher than a level 83 base. So there's no point to go after a level 100 base.
I was about to say, in fact, one of the things that I care about the most is having a base under a specific level.
Right, because you're trying to game the encounter charts, basically. And that's a lot of the thing with crafting cluster jewels. Most of the best cluster jewels want very tightly controlled item levels so that you can have the highest chance to reward or to roll the notables that you care about. And it feels like counterintuitive.
It feels counterintuitive. The tagline of Path of Exile.
No kidding.
Super Robot Wars with Shrine Maiden. Is this the Touhou thing?
It is the Touhou thing. Fairly recently, a game released on Steam called Fantasy Maiden Wars. And this is the official English translation of all 4 parts of a Touhou game based on Super Robot Wars that's been going for the past like 10, 13 years or something like that. They finished it, as much as they're going to anyway, and it's all 4 parts are on Steam and fully translated. And this is a strategy RPG that plays pretty much exactly like Super Robot Wars, down to characters having different weapons with different ranges that you can attack with. It's been an interesting game to try to start playing. It is probably the best introduction I've seen to the Touhou universe that is not actually the Touhou games, because this starts from a very loose retelling of the first Windows game, Embodiment of Scarlet Devil, and sort of goes on in the series from there, but starts with, you can still pick either Reimu or Marissa as the main character, and they will sort of be the focus going forward, but they are treated as though they know almost no other characters. So you get introduced to these characters from scratch as you play this game.
Yeah, like when you say Windows game, wasn't it a Windows 3.1 game?
No, it wasn't that long ago.
Oh, I thought it was. I thought there were Touhou games way back when.
The originals were PC 98 games way back when, but in 2000, maybe 98, it's been a while. The game released on Windows that contains all the characters everybody actually knows about. Like Flandre Scarlet is from that game, Sakuyu is from that game, and it was a reboot of the series in general, and so that's where this game takes as a starting point. I know almost nothing about the series on the PC 98, a computer that never released in the US, and like there's no way I could play any of these, I think. Definitely no way any of them have ever been translated.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm curious. What is the story of a Touhou game?
The story of any given Touhou game is there is an incident occurring, something suspicious, who even knows what. In the case of Embodiment of Scarlet Devil, it is a weird scarlet mist is filling up the land of Gensyoko. And Reimu and Marissa set out to investigate it. And on investigating, encounter roughly 6 suspicious individuals that you beat up with various fancy lasers and lights until you beat up the 6th one and resolve the incident. They basically all are exactly like this. There are exceptions, of course. Things like, oh, this didn't actually fix anything, and whoops, someone else was behind this the whole time. Or, hey, this thing was actually going to solve itself. You didn't need to beat me up for it. But these two have actual stories, and because there tend to be several playable characters with different routes, although they fight the same enemies most of the time, you get to find out quite a bit about character personalities and motivations, even though they're relatively simple bullet hell games.
But all of these characters, both the player and the enemies, are Shrine Maidens, which is like in this game.
only Reimu is a Shrine Maiden.
Okay. Are most of them like wizards of some sort then?
Most of them are yokai, some sort of various whatevers.
Demon spirit.
Yeah. Reimu's a human, Marissa's a human. When she comes along later, Sane is actually a Shrine Maiden and a human, but she's several games down the line. Mostly you just get a bunch of weirdos.
Okay.
Fairies, spirits, the creators of this fantasy world that everybody lives in, gods. The power levels go all up and down the spectrum.
Sure.
This game wants to introduce those characters, not necessarily in the order that the original game introduced them. Each character encounters a different second character that was not introduced in the original series until years and years later, to try to bring in some subplots early. And I'm finding it interesting how things are a little mixed up here. Even though this is going down the story of a game I know, a relatively simple story at that, I don't really know all of the events that are going to happen here. But I'm finding it really interesting. And there are so many characters in this game. I'm in like chapter 3 and I have 5 characters. This is not like, there aren't generics.
Oh, there's so much in those.
It's weird because this is the combination of 2 super popular things in Japan sort of being translated for the first time in a while. Really the first time ever for this. Super Robot Wars hasn't had a translated release in the US since, well, let me back up. There was one this year, and I think there was one last year. But before that, the last one was on the Game Boy Advance. This Super Robot Wars is a series with so many games, and Touhou is a series with so many games.
Yeah.
It's just not been part of mainstream English culture.
So at this point, you've pushed further into Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2?
Yeah. I replayed the original. Or jumped back into the original. I'm not going to say I replayed all of the original. And, like, I was curious and dug up some reviews from the early 2000s about that game. I have changed the way I think about Bloodlines 2. I think that it is a solid follow-up to the legacy of the original.
The original game was kind of janky.
Kind of janky is
That's
putting it very kindly.
Yeah. Such an understatement.
But, like, this is... Well, it's also notable that I was curious about it. It took about a year and a half before, hey, actually, Bloodlines is really great articles to start coming out. Just people writing about it and being like, hey, actually, this is a sleeper hit. This game is great. And, like, great is interesting. I'm not sure I would necessarily call it great. But that's true of the original, too. And it definitely lives up to the legacy of the original. In the sense that, like, it's kind of a mess, but it's taking bigger swings than I think that it gets credit for. Stuff does actually kind of come together as you get more abilities and can do stuff. It takes longer than I'd like, but, like, once it starts happening, it actually starts happening pretty quick. And it's doing a lot of work with its writing, which is also true of the original. And I think it doesn't have, like, we're not talking dispatch tier voice acting, but the voice acting is still good enough. It's like, it's still over the top, but it's, as I've met more characters, I've seen what they're doing, and they're really leaning into the idea that, like, in Vampire the Masquerade, like, vampires are both inhuman and also a little bit more than human. Like, they're dialed up to 11 in certain ways. And at first it felt like kind of janky voice acting, but as I've gotten into it and met more characters that are clearly written and like clearly directed in a certain way, I've been seeing more of what they're doing with it. And it actually works. Like, you run into characters that are like over the top in a way that makes sense. Like, you run into a Toreador who's just like into their particular style of art and like insufferable about it. But like, that's the point. Like, they're supposed to be like that. It's like, oh, this person's really into melodrama because that's like their weird thing. And it's also just very satisfying to go around as not a chumbo vampire. Like, they've put a lot of thought into it, and like, it makes for much more interesting power dynamics. Like, it's growing on me rapidly. There's still stuff that I find annoying about it, but like, again, that's true of the original. I think that a year from now, or a year and a half from now, we're gonna see a lot of people being like, "This game flew under the radar. It was actually great. There's stuff to really love about it."
That's kind of been the thing with a lot of game releases. Initial mixed reaction, and then a year of patches later, they're kind of great. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Cyberpunk.
Yeah, like,
Cyberpunk needed the patches though.
Cyberpunk needed the patches.
Got
This
them
one,
though, but you know.
this one didn't need the patches as much, but like, it's gotten a few. I think some of the performance stuff has been improved. At least performance is pretty good on my machine at this point, and it wasn't initially. But it's good at what it's trying to be. And there's a bit more of the I begrudgingly forgive it its portrayal of Seattle. Like, seriously, you're running around a foot and a half of snow, Seattle, which is not actually what happens in Seattle.
It is not.
It is not.
Like ever. But more and more, it's more and more you get snippets that like, this is an unnaturally bad storm, and it is shutting down the city in a very like devastating kind of way, which does feel true. Like, if Seattle did get a foot and a half of snow, it would be a huge problem.
I mean, this is the world of darkness. Maybe mages are involved.
Who knows?
Maybe, who knows?
But yeah, it's starting to coalesce as I play it, and like, I really want to know where they're going with the story, because I think the story is actually interesting, even though at first blush I was like, I've seen this before. I just played this. Like, oh, you're a protagonist and you've got somebody riding around in your head. Like, literally, that's Cyberpunk. But like, it's a different twist on that story, and it's different enough to be interesting. It's contextualized differently. And honestly, like, the conceit of you've got somebody riding around in your head who's like your pseudo narrator actually works really well in a video game context.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm willing to forgive games taking that like concept and doing other interesting things with it. But yeah, after playing a bunch of Outer Worlds, I was like, I don't know, let me try this like similar-ish feeling. Especially because it is less of an RPG, and because of that, you can do more things. Like, you're less restricted in what kinds of approaches you can take. And at first, I was like, oh, it doesn't feel like an RPG. Like, I don't feel like my build decisions matter. That feels less good than I was expecting. But having played through a whole bunch of Outer Worlds 2 and being like, holy shit, game, you are starving me of skill points. Like,
Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds 2 is so stingy with skill points.
Yeah, I was feeling that even in the very beginning. I was like, wait, I only get 2 of these skill points per level up?
Yeah, like Outer Worlds 2 pro tip. Pick 3 skills. Keep
Yeah.
them maxed. Maybe add another skill when you've maxed those skills. Because, like, it will... If you actually want to hit everything in that game that you have the skills for, like, you need your skills to be maxed. And it's tight. Like, there's a lot of stuff you'll run into that you're just like, I don't have the skills for this. But it feels bad when it's like, this is like the skill you've put points into, but you just haven't put enough points into it somehow because you spread yourself too thin.
Yeah, my immediate first level up, I put points into skills I didn't start with, and that feels like a mistake because now I can't do anything.
Yeah, you can definitely spread yourself too thin in that game, and it was quite the surprise. Like, it's hard to know until you start running into stuff like, oh, what do my skills actually need to be? And it's like, oh, my choices do matter, and it annoys me. Let's try this other, because
I'm sad I chose wrong.
Yeah, and there's not much you can do about it. And here it's like, okay, so I made some very broad choices about the kind of character I am, and this game, like, the fact that I am a Tremere, the game does not let me forget. I'm not like, it reminds me consistently, and there's a bunch of stuff I can do that is specific to being a Tremere, but, like, I'm okay with that because that's like an identity choice.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I don't run into thing that's like, oh, you're a Tremere, but you're not Tremere enough. It's like, I should be able to do that. And the game's like, yep, you should be able to do that. Go ahead and do it. It's made me think of like tabletop RPGs that are too stingy with chances of success. We've talked about Pathfinder 2 being like, it's got really tight math. It uses that tight math to screw you at every turn. You better have your skill. You better have that skill maxed if you want it to be useful at your level. Sometimes even that won't be enough. And it's interesting. The more I play Bloodlines 2, the more it feels like this is the choice to not have things like skill points is a considered decision, not a we just didn't think of it or we didn't build in the scope. It's like, no. We intentionally don't want a skill system. So anyway, I wanted to put it on here because I wanted to note that it is growing on me in a way I wasn't expecting. I would really like anybody to make a mage game.
Yes.
Like, I don't 100% know how you do that. Like, that seems even more cursed than making a vampire game.
I mean, the obvious way to make it a little easier, I feel like, would be to do Sorcerer's Crusade. You know, set it back at the rise of the Renaissance.
Well, sure, but that's
the easy way out.
That's not what I'm playing I'm not playing a World of Darkness game to
Sure.
play fantasy with spellcasting. If I wanted to do that, I would play D&D.
I feel like Wraith would be a really good detective story.
Yeah, I could see that. Hunter is a horror game. Like, except if you want to play Hunter, you could just play The Witcher.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Basically the same concept. Not quite, but you could play The Witcher with extra empathy for the things you're hunting, as opposed to possibly less than 0.
I mean, I guess it depends on what type of hunter you're playing.
I mean, in the sense of The Witcher, you're playing a guy who kills monsters and has no concerns about this.
Yeah, but like, at least, granted, I only read very brief snippets. It does seem like Waywards are killing monsters and don't care who gets in their way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, it does feel like the extra bonus things they added were mostly, do you want to be a bad person in this game? Like a really bad person? Here's some options.
I mean, you know, collateral damage is a thing that happens sometimes, and, you know.
Really quick, short topic. I finished Frieren today, and that show was great. I highly suggest it.
Frieren?
Yep.
Yeah, it's really... I did not know what to expect. It's pretty good.
I've heard very good things about it.
I sure hope we get a second season. Because apparently the manga has been on and off, and who knows if it's ever getting any more issues.
Very brief topic, because I'm currently dealing with this. Is there a recommendation for players who play Guild Wars 2 outside of optimal hours to get a bunch of hero points.
Go to the new
Don't-
area. Go
Don't
to Cantha.
do.
Go to
yeah,
Path of Fire. Stop trying to get hero points in Heart of Thorn zones.
Yes.
Sure. Well, so I was gonna say I thought I went to like the Secrets of the Obscure area. They did not seem to have any.
Secrets of the Obscure and Janthier have none because they didn't introduce any elite specs.
Mhm.
Ah.
Your hero points are, you can get them in Heart of Thorns, which is the hardest way to do it. Path of Fire, which is the second hardest way to do it. End of Dragons, which is one of the easiest ways to do it. And the new one, which is also the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, so basically, Visions of Eternity is just basically, we're going to throw a ton of hero points at you that are mostly just go up to a place and channel.
Okay. So stop doing Heart of Thorns.
Yes.
Absolutely stop doing Heart of
Like-
Thorns.
Yes.
Beating your face against Heart of Thorns is a very good way to frustrate yourself because it's not necessary.
Is there a way to
Yeah.
get into the new zones without doing the quests?
I mean, start the quest.
I mean, as long as you have the appropriate expansion, you can go to Cantha just from our guild hall.
Oh, that's a good
Mhm.
point. I can do that. Mostly because I want to get caught up in the storyline doing Janthier before I start the new content.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a good call. But if you happen to overlap with any of us ever, I think you can do the teleport to friend thing.
I was
Sure.
gonna say, I'm pretty sure that does work. Yeah.
I do play at very uncomfortable hours, I realize. But I want to get this Evoker spec because it seems very fun.
I was running around basically Cantha to get Amalgam online.
I mean, the other option is World versus and buying Jade Heroics to skip getting hero points.
Guess that's fair. How many testimonies of Jade Heroics do you have sitting around?
I don't know.
I literally
Because
just
you can
cashed
directly
in-
buy the Heart of Thorns hero points in World versus World.
Yeah,
Just complete a random one for you.
I cashed in all of those to buy it on my mage just because I don't play it much, so that I could unlock Evoker. Is there also a PvP way of doing that, or does PvP?
I don't
not
think
care
so.
Because
PvP gets everything automatically.
Yeah. On Thursday, we ran a lot of rifts in the new area, so I am now unjammed. I just need to progress forward again in the story.
Yay.
Because at some point, you basically need 2 mastery ranks into the skimmer mastery to move forward. We effectively ground that out just running loops in the new zone.
Yeah, the rifts were really good XP for that.
Kind of more annoying than Janther rifts, but, you know, it's because
Yeah.
Inquest are annoying. Big props to whoever designed the mob type that fires the laser beams, because that mob has sunglasses.
Safety first.
Any other short topics or last thoughts about anything?
I think we're good.
Yeah, I'm almost done with Outer Worlds 2, and it's really good. Like, genuinely, the end of the year is coming with some really surprisingly good games, considering the rest of the year being pretty good.
Yep.
Games that actually stick their landings are threatening to bump Blueprints off my list,
Yep.
which is a tall order, but
Well, hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
good night.
Good night.
See you.